Oh, thank you very much indeed, Mr. Deputy Speaker. We're facing two energy crises. The first is the one that is right in front of us, and in opening the debate, my right honourable friend, the member for Doncaster North, made a really powerful case for action to help people. I would say to the Minister, were he still in his place, that he may have felt that his speech got him through this afternoon, but it isn't going to get the government through to the end of April.
That's right.
Because I think we all know that the government is going to have to do something. It is going to have to raise funds, and we have a plan. We've debated it today. The government doesn't have a plan, but it's going to have to come up with one. Now, in Leeds, fuel poverty is rising. There are 57,000 households, and we can trade the statistics, but in each of those ones, a debate takes place. Parents have to make decisions that they don't want to have to face, and we've heard the choice between heating or eating, or buying clothes for their children and heating or eating, or going up to a complete stranger. It takes a lot of courage to say to someone, I know we've never met, but can you help to feed my family this weekend, because I cannot. And this is happening in the 6th richest country in the world. But the second crisis is also coming because we know we're going to have to change the way in which we heat our homes to meet the net zero challenge. And since we're talking about home heating, what about the 23 million homes that currently have gas boilers? Because all of those are eventually going to have to go, because we won't be able to use gas anymore. Now, what will replace them? There are two basic choices, as we know: heat pumps or electric boilers on the one hand, possibly heating our homes with hydrogen on the other. There's a lot to be worked through to make this work. But how are we going to pay for this change? How are my constituents, our constituents, going to pay for this change? This is really important. We touched on this earlier. The transition to net zero has to be just, has to be fair. People have to be able to deal with the costs that it involves. Now, back in October, the government announced plans for grants of £5,000 to help install heat pumps in homes. Now, insofar as it goes, not very far. I welcome this. But under that plan, only 90,000 homes would be eligible. Now, given that the government's target is to install 600,000 heat pumps per year later on this decade, that is clearly nowhere near enough. And I hope, of course, as the government does, that in time the cost of alternative forms of heating will fall, and I hope that the technology will develop. But if we go back to the start of this debate today, where we're already concerned about the ability of our constituents to pay the bill today, never mind the bill in April, how on earth are so many of our constituents going to be able to afford to make that change? A heat pump can cost, what, between £5,000 or £15,000. We think hydrogen boilers will be cheaper. We don't yet know whether that technology is really going to be able to work. I hope it is. But at the moment, there is no way in which many of our constituents are going to be able to afford that transition. And the government, as well as needing to have a plan for April, is going to have to come forward with a plan for the next 10, 15, 20 years to make that happen. It has got to be a plan that can be afforded by the nation and by our constituents, and we haven't got a lot of time to see it appear.